Good afternoon, everyone. This is Wayne, and this is the video version of the trade report for Monday, June 4th, 2018. Well, the S&P 500 did something today it hasn't done since March 16th. What could that be? Hint, we did close higher. Stay tuned to find out more. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for spending part of your day with me as I go over the action and activity in the financial markets. It is Monday, June 4th, 2018. And what did the market do today that it hasn't done since March 16th? Well, let's take a look at the daily chart of the S&P 500. And looky there. The market, well, the S&P closed above 2745, this 618 Fibonacci level from March 16th. The last time the market closed, the S&P closed above 2745, this very critical 618 Fibonacci level was back on March 16th. Now, what does that mean? Well, in my opinion, that opens the door for some rather bullish action in this market. And what confirms that for me is the VIX. The VIX is going lower, even after kind of getting a little bit of its upside groove on. But you can see how this downward trending line has now become support. Now, does that mean that volatility is going to go higher off of this line? That's a possibility. I've been calling for that for the last, 15 sessions or so. This narrow area in the Ichimoku cloud is kind of begging for that a little bit. Whether or not it happens remains to be seen, but we now have a sell signal in the VIX, which tells me that volatility is going to go even lower, which of course means the broader market's going to go higher. Now, if we take a look at the broader market on a daily basis, we will see that the NASDAQ and the Russell 2000 are hard charging, going higher. And the NASDAQ made a new high today, a new all-time closing high. And the Russell 2000, even though it had a little bit of an issue right at the very beginning of the day, and I'll show you that on the 15-minute chart, made a new intraday and a new closing high. The S&P, I already showed you that, closed above 2745. And of course, the last index that we need to look at is the Dow. The Dow, a little bit lazy today. It went higher into the open and then kind of went sideways to lower into the close. Now, what we have here is I was going to say a duality, and I suppose I can say that given the fact that I'm talking about two markets on each side of that duality. We've got the Russell and the NASDAQ. We've got the Dow and the S&P. Russell and the NASDAQ making new highs, just going all out, hard charging, and leading the market. Dow and the S&P just kind of lazily moving kind of in a sideways, albeit a rather wide-ranging sideways market action. But what I think is setting up here is for the NASDAQ and the Russell to begin relaxing a little bit and the Dow and the S&P to go higher. Now, if and when that happens, this market is going to just be hitting on all bullish cylinders. And not the NASDAQ, and the VIX will definitely continue to drop. So we've got that happening. We also have individual stocks making new highs. We've got the Amazon making a new high. Nvidia. Did Twitter make it? No, Twitter did not make a new high, but Twitter got added to the S&P 500 today. And when that was announced, Twitter went up about $1.50. And it's currently trading up about $1.30. Tesla even went higher today. It's not trading at an all-time high. But with Netflix, Nvidia, Microsoft hitting a new all-time high, Google up $18 today, not at an all-time high, but over the last 3 trading sessions, Google's gone up about $85. In fact, that is a fun chart to look at, Google. So if we take a quick peek at Google, and we can also take a look at Amazon, because Amazon's really impressive here. Not quite as impressive as Google, which after that buy signal, $85. Just boom, in the last 3 sessions. That is because of the new GDPR Privacy Act in Russia. Oh my gosh, in Russia? I don't think they have GDPR in Russia. In the European Union, the Eurozone, providing more advertising dollars being funneled toward Google. So Google is the beneficient of that GDPR action. So let's take a look at Amazon. Like I said, Amazon made a new high today, new all-time high, and a new closing high. Netflix, same story, new all-time closing high and intraday high. Just starting to say that time and time again. I'm starting to trip over my own tongue. So the markets were very strong today, bottom line. My thesis is we will continue. I think this bullishness is the sign of a market that is beginning to move on a new level of energy that is going to take it higher. Now, we are in the extended session now, and the extended session is moving the market a little bit lower. And we did fall below that 2745. So the 2745 line doesn't just get crossed over and forgotten. There'll be some back and forth. And I think the overnight session is going to use this as a bit of a playground, if you will. We'll see what happens. And then at the open tomorrow, like I said, I am looking for higher prices at the open. I am looking for higher prices in the broader market tomorrow in general. So whether or not that happens remains to be seen. I'm just looking here to see if there was anything else in particular that really needs to be made note of. But it's Monday. There's one last thing. And that is a technical indicator that I use called the squeeze. And basically what it refers to is a market that's consolidating, a market that's generating kind of a tightening of and an increasing of the energy that moves price. And squeezes do something that is called firing. When a squeeze fires, that means it begins moving in one of the 2 directions it has available to it, either up or down. If a squeeze fires to the downside, that means that in all likelihood, there's a high probability of the market continuing lower. If it fires to the upside, the reverse is true. You have a high probability of the market continuing higher. We are still in a squeeze. We've been in a squeeze in the 15-minute chart of the S&P futures since the pre-market of today's session. So this has been a very tight, consolidated trading range today. A lot of energy is building. The question is, which way will that squeeze fire? And what is going to happen in the overnight session? And how will this 2745 line be treated? All of this and more remains to be seen. So that's probably enough for today. With that, trade safe. Trade what you see if you choose to trade at all. Good night and good trading.